Hi there. Welcome to Mastering Workplace Performance Online. Over the next 5 weeks, we're going to take a look at your performance, your productivity, and hopefully we'll find some ideas, some practices that will work for you. What we'll do is each lesson will come with a video like this. It'll come with an article that you can read and then a discussion. And I'm going to encourage you right out of the gate, as soon as we start this thing, jump into the discussion forum. There's going to be a discussion relative to this lesson as well as everything else. The way each video works is I'm going to come on, I'm going to give you a short sound bite, probably 3-5 minutes long, where I'm going to talk about that lesson. Then, if you have time, what I thought I would do is an extended entry. So that way, if you want to dive a little bit deeper in, if you want to hear my experience and some of the coaching I've done, some of the research that I've done, I'll give that to you. But everything that you'll need to get started with this lesson will come in this very first part. So, lesson 1. What is your influence in productivity? That is, what influences what you get done, how you get it done, how productive, effective, or efficient you are, and then what can we do about it? So as far as I can tell, there are 3 different influencers to my productivity. And in no particular order, they are my network, my context, and then homeostasis. Let me take each one of those, and I'm going to start with the last one, homeostasis. The way our body and mind is wired is we seek normal, we seek routine, we seek what we've always done. Now, up till now, it's been fantastic. In fact, a mentor of mine, Marshall Goldsmith, he wrote a book all about this. It's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And this book really explained to me anyway, this whole idea that if I keep doing what I've always done, well, you know what's coming next, right? I'll get what I've always got. So when we take a look at homeostasis and its relative effect on productivity, if I'm going to be a little bit more productive, I might need to change up how I'm doing things, what my routine is, what my behaviors are, what my habits are. There's going to be a lesson that comes to you that's dedicated specifically to your productivity habits. All right, that second one that I talked about, which is your context, right? Where do you work? The book that I would recommend here is A Gift from the Sea from Anne Lindbergh. I found this book many years ago in a used bookstore. You can probably tell this is a little bit old. And this book came to her when she was away. She was on a beach in the islands, and she sat down with a legal pad and just started writing. Now, this was many, many years ago. You might sit down with an iPad and start writing. But what we know is if you take yourself out of a context, or put yourself into a context, you may wind up having different ideas, different something that could get you a lot further in that efficiency, effectiveness, time management, organization process. What would this mean in a real life organization day to day? Join a meeting, decline a meeting, go work in a coffee shop, go work in a conference room. Okay, that third one, remember we said the third influence to my productivity is my network. That is, who do I spend time around and how are they influencing me? What are the ideas they're sharing with me? What are the challenges they're pushing me toward? The book that I can very highly recommend by a mentor of mine, Keith Ferrazzi, called Never Eat Alone. He wrote another book called Who's Got Your Back? This was the first book that I read by Keith, and I tell you, this thing was fascinating. It really made me question. It made me take a look at who I'm surrounded by and how they're influencing my productivity. What I would recommend, by the way, if you're at all interested in influencing your productivity for the better via your network, go sign on to your LinkedIn account. My guess is that if you've been around for any time at all, you have a LinkedIn account. I just did this over the past weekend as I'm preparing to submit the proposal for my next book. And I sat down on a Sunday morning, I gave myself 45 minutes, and I started reaching out to my LinkedIn community, asking them to take a look at a chapter of my book. You know what's fascinating? I'm already getting emails back. Not only am I getting emails back that people would like to look at that, but the people that I've already sent the chapter to, they're already responding. You see, what's fascinating about our network is there are people out there who want to help us. Do they know where we need help? All right, there are 3 influences to your productivity. You've got your network, your context, and that homeostatic process that we're all engaged in. If you want some more, stay tuned. I'm super glad that you have a little bit of extra time. So what I want to do is I want to dive in, give you a couple of ideas, tell some stories, all relative to these three contexts of our own productivity. Now remember, they were homeostasis, context, and network. You know, when I think about that always do what I've always done quote, it's that reality that I will come back to and feel very comfortable doing what I've always done. Triathlon season is just about to start, and every year this happens where at the end of one season, my coaches, my mentors, the people that I compete against, everyone always takes a little bit of downtime. We call it seasonal, right? We take some time off. Then about February or March every year, we start ramping back up for this thing. Well, I can tell you over the past few weeks, as we're getting ready to get ready, I can already tell I need to practice being comfortable uncomfortable. That is, if I'm going to compete at a high level athletically, I need to be able to push the envelope. I need to be able to put the pressure on. I need to be comfortable uncomfortable. Isn't that kind of like managing a career? Right? Who do I need to reach out to professionally? How uncomfortable do I need to be reaching out for help, reaching out for assistance? Just a couple weeks ago, I was driving down for an event where I was lecturing at Azusa Pacific University, and on the way I made a few phone calls. One of the guys that I talked to is the head of a publishing department in New York. This is the company that I'm submitting my book proposal to. And you know, it was easy for me to give him a call. It was easy for me to talk to him. What didn't come easy, but I know has value, is on that phone call I said, I'll be submitting my book proposal to you by the end of the month. Now, when I put that deadline on there, I tell you, the next few days, totally different, right? Until I had that book proposal turned in, there was a part of my mind that was working, that was ranging, that was thinking, I can't do what I've always done, right? What I always did was I got up early in the morning, I went to the gym, I rolled into the office, I started meetings, I started working on things. Whoa, stop. What I actually had to do now was I had to plan in an abnormal, call it uncomfortable, part of my day. Now, I don't know about you, but this was a project that I had that I couldn't just sit down and in 10 minutes whip out a little section. I couldn't just sit down and get into this thing. It took me a while. I actually found I wasn't able to work on the book proposal until I had a 90-minute block of time. 90 minutes. Why did I need 90 minutes? Well, I needed 20, 25 minutes, I found, just to get my arms and my mind around what I was working on. I needed another 15, 20 minutes to start to think about what I wanted to write in that particular section, and then I could write for another 40, 45, or even 50 minutes. What can you do to your regular routine to bring in a little bit of abnormality? Or in that case, how can you make what's comfortable uncomfortable and make something that's uncomfortable comfortable? It's easy to do what we've always done. What do I need to do that's new? Okay, number 2, context. I know for me, if I sit down in my home office, it's much different than if I sit down in the office space that I'm renting down in Ventura. That's much different than I'm sitting in the room at the airport waiting for a flight. That's much different than if a client that I'm working for has a surprise meeting and they find a conference room for me to work in for an hour. You know, it's fascinating that where I am will actually impact what I do. Now, if that's true for you, what I recommend you do for the next 4, 5, 6 days is work in different places, right? Set yourself up so that wherever you are, you could be gaining ground. You could be making progress on something. What this would allow you to do is to take advantage of these weird windows of time. You know, I know for me, flying around the world, I will have a flight that's delayed. When I get on site for a client event, sometime this year, they're going to wind up starting late. You know, can't tell you, in the past 10 years, I've done over 100 presentations a year. So we're talking about 1,000 presentations. I promise you, of those, there's been enough that now I'm always ready for an extra block of 45, 60, or even 90 minutes. Where I am will actually impact what I do. So the takeaway for this is when you get back to your office, when you get back to your home office, when you're packing for that upcoming trip, put a little thing into your briefcase, your backpack, your purse, whatever that is, so that when you are somewhere, you can be almost as productive as when you were somewhere else. Remember I mentioned that book, Never Eat Alone? Fascinating to me. You see, when I got that book years ago, it's a bright orange cover. The author is Keith Ferrazzi, very outspoken guy. You go on YouTube, you go out on the internet, I'm sure you're going to see some articles or some videos by him. But what I wound up doing for about a year was I carried that book every time I went out to dinner. Now, you already know I'm around the world. I get to go to different cities and give presentations and coaching. But at the end of the day, I'm usually going to dinner by myself. Now, every now and then I'll give you a call, and I've got some friends and colleagues and coworkers all over the place. But more often than not, when I'm in a city for a day or even 2 days, one of those meals, I'm going to sit down alone. I started carrying this book with me called Never Eat Alone, and when I sat down to dinner, I'd kind of position the book on the table so that someone around me could see the title, right? They could see the cover. And what was amazing to me is I started meeting people. I started conversations. I started talking to people. If I were on an airplane, I'd pull out that book. It'd always be a great conversation starter. I know that I am where I am today because of the network, the people around me. Who do you know who? I'm going to talk about this later in the series. Who do you know who has probably been one of the best productivity questions that I can ask. I'm working on a book right now. It's the second book that I've written. The tentative title is Your Best Just Got Better. And one of the things that I'm doing while I'm working on the proposal, while I'm working on the sample chapters, while I'm talking to people about this, I'm already starting to market the book, is I'm asking people, who do you know who might be interested in buying 50, 100, or even 200 copies of a book called Your Best Just Got Better. And you know what's fascinating? I'm already starting to build up an order list. I'm already starting to build up a group of people who have already said, Jason, when you get that book, send me a few cases. I'll spread it around to my team. I'll spread it around to my clients. I'll spread it around to my referral partners. Our network will absolutely, critically impact what we do, how long it takes to get done, and what we can imagine ourselves stepping into. Walking away from this video, I highly encourage you, meet with someone this week. Meet with a mentor, meet with a client, meet with a referral partner. Take someone out to lunch or to dinner, or meet them for coffee, someone that you haven't talked to in a while. Put on the table one of the biggest issues, circumstances, situations. Give them a challenge. Share with them a challenge that you're facing that you would like assistance or ideas with. Now, they may not have anything right then, but teach them this methodology and you may just get some assistance that you didn't see coming. What's the methodology? It's a simple question. Who do you know who? Thanks for tuning in. This has been a great lesson. Please go read the article, get into the discussion forum. I challenge you to share with your community here so that you can start to break apart your homeostatic performance and productivity. You start to question your contextual productivity, and then you get in there, change your network up, invite new people in, spend less time with some other people or some other groups. Where do you need to be? Who do you need to be with? And what do you need to do differently so that you see a radical improvement and an increase in your own productivity? All right, stay tuned. Lesson 2 is on its way, but what I highly encourage you to do, go back, do some reading, get those books that I mentioned in the first part of this episode. Any questions you have, gotta let us know. Either post them in the forum. I'll be going into that forum. I've also got some other people on our team who will be monitoring that forum. And anything you need, email me directly, jason@womaccompany.com. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to hearing from you.